Okay. Number 2. This one says, number 2 says x over negative 7 equals to, x over negative 7 equals to 15. So you're dividing by negative 7. What's the opposite of dividing by negative 7? Multiplying by negative 7. So you could multiply both sides by negative 7, right? You want to put it with a parentheses or something like that, that's fine. The x's cancel, so you're left with x equals to, what is 15 times negative 7? Negative 105. Negative 105. Is that clear? Number 3 states x plus 1/4 equals to negative 7/8. X plus 1/4 equals to negative 7/8. Okay. Well, just like the other problems, on this one, what would be the first step? You would subtract 1/4, subtract 1/4. This would give us x equals to negative 7/8 minus 1/4. Do you see that? Negative 7/8 minus 1/4. What are we going to need in this problem? We have 7/8 and we have negative 1/4. What are we going to need for this problem? Yes? Common denominator. What's the common denominator? 8. 8. Yes, we're going to multiply by a factor of 2, but the common denominator is 8. You're going to multiply by 2, you're going to multiply by 2. This would be negative 7/8 minus 2/8. You see that? And what does that give us? Negative 7 minus 2. Same sign. Add and keep the sign. It's too early for me to sing. 9/8. Now, on the test Friday, it could also appear as a mixed number. How would you write that as a mixed number? Negative 1 and 1/8. Is that clear, guys? Barba, are you analyzing?
Yes.
Okay. Number 4. You have negative 4.2x equals to 15.96. Negative 4.2x equals to 15.96. What would you do in a case like this? Yes? Yes, sir? What would you do? Okay, so you divide it, right? On both sides? Okay. Now you ask yourself, 15.96 divided by negative 4.92. Excuse me, 4.2, sorry. 4.2. Well, the answer would be, first of all, it's negative. Now, when you're dividing decimals, remember, what's the rule when you're dividing decimals? You would have to move this decimal over once. That means you would have to move this decimal over once. Therefore, you would actually have negative 42, and on this side you'd have 159.6. I always like rewriting the division when I'm doing that. If not, it starts looking like too much stuff going on there. Now I ask myself, how many times does 42 go into 159?
2 times.
3 times. Very good, 3. Because 42 times 3 is 126. 42 times 3 is 126. This would be 3. This would be also 3. And then right here you have a 6.
But then don't you have to move it to the decimal place?
No, we're good here. We're good. We just need to place our decimal right here. And we ask ourselves, how many times does 42 go into 336? How many times does 42 go into 336?
8.
8 times. Doesn't it go exactly 336? Yes, it does. So guess what? Your answer is negative 3.8. Yes, Ms. Vasquez.
I did it over 1 and they have the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Any questions?
You're such a good teacher, you don't even have any questions.
Number 5. Number 5, you have x over 5 equals to negative 22. Piece of cake. What do we do?
So 5 twice.
Multiply by 5, multiply by 5. X would equal to negative 22 times 5. What's negative 22 times 5? What's 22 times 5, guys? Negative 110 in this case, because we have a negative and we're multiplying that by 5. Great. M minus 21 equals to negative 22. M minus 21 equals to negative 22. We simply add 21 to both sides. We simply add 21 to both sides. So M would equal to negative 1. Be careful. You're a black belt already with positives and negatives. You are experts. You're Einsteins at that level already. So you should be making no mistakes with those. Good. Number 7. Negative x over 8 equals to 7 over 9. On this one, a lot of you, what you like doing is you like putting the negative down here, which is fine, and then multiplying it across. Some of you divide. There's plenty of ways to Cucamonga. Plenty of roads to Cucamonga. You could get there so many ways. So, whichever method you use, it's good as long as you get the right answer. So, you could put x over negative 8 equals to 7 over 9. And then, just cross multiply it. So, x would equal to what? Negative 56 over 9. Negative 56 over 9. Now, can you write that as a mixed number?
Yeah.
How many times did that go in?
5.
6.
Okay, 6. And how many are left?
2.
2 ninths. Negative 6 and 2 ninths. So either or is acceptable. I'm telling you right now, this usually middle school students are asked to reduce to this level. Once you're in high school, they just ask you to leave it like this. It really wouldn't matter. They're the same thing. It's like asking yourself, do I pay with $1 or do I pay with 4 quarters? It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Good morning.
Okay, let's try the next one. 4/5 x equals to 18 over 13. What do you do in this situation? What do you do in this situation?
You divide.
You could divide, and dividing a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by the... Very good. You experts? Great. It's the same thing. Multiplying a fraction is the same thing as dividing a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. Now, once we get to this step, this is where a lot of us have different ideas of how to do this, and I respect whatever method you learned. If your teacher back in the good old days taught you how to do this and that, as long as you get the correct answer, I'm good with it. Look, what I recommend, or what I do usually, is I check if these numbers reduce or if these numbers they don't. Then if they don't, you can actually cross reduce like this. I see the 18 and the 4. 18 and 4, I could cross reduce these by what? 2, right? 18 divided by 2 is 9, and 4 divided by 2 is what? 2. 9 times 5 is 45, and 13 times 2? 26. Now, that's reduced, or you could write it as a mixed number. That would go in once, and what would be left over? What would be left over? 19? So it's 1 and 1926. Go ahead and correct that, please. 1 and 1926. Good. Number 9. You have negative x over 11 equals to 6.1. I've already mentioned this thing about the negatives. What can you do with the negatives?
You can take it away and make it addition.
Okay, yes, like this. Very good. You can just rewrite it. Have you changed anything to it? No, you've just changed the way it looks. You just changed the way it looks. So, cross multiply it. You have x equals to negative 11 times 6.1. What's negative 11 times 6.1?
67.1.
Perfect. Negative 67.1. All you're doing is multiplying. All you're doing is multiplying. Negative 67.1. Any questions? Guys, any questions?
You're just such a good teacher. You explain everything.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Explain everything we need to know.
Thank you. Smile, Barba. Okay. Now, what do we do on this one, Barba? 5x equals 85. What do we do, sir?
Okay, so that's 5x. So like you have to like cross it out or something.
But what's the process? What do we do?
No, you put a 100.
No. Oliva?
Oh, you divide 5 by
Divide by 5. Divide by 5.
17.
So, this is 17. 85 divided by 5 is 17. Guys, when you're doing this, just think about, remember we did it mentally? We said 5 times what is 85? 5 times 17. So you're just times, so the opposite of times is dividing. You really need to, that skill needs to be down. Mastery. Mastery, is that even a word?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Mastery of the subject.
Mastery. I believe it's
Okay.
the act of mastering.
A task. Very good. Thank you. I learned a word today. Mastery. Okay. X minus 7 equals to negative 21. See, we're subtracting 7. What's the opposite of subtracting 7? Adding 7. Yes. 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 Negative 21 plus 7? Negative 14. Different signs. Subtract and keep the sign of the larger. Y'all see that? Good. Number 12, you could do that with your eyes closed. 3x equals 27. Divide by 3. Divide by 3. X would equal to 9. On 13, I know it looks a little, well, not complicated, but it's at, maybe there's some ambiguity there, but that's a z. It's not 2/3. That's negative z over 3 equals to negative 11. Negative z over 3 equals to negative 11. What I would do is move the negative down, so you have z over negative 3 equals to negative 11. Now, cross multiply, z would be, what is negative 3 times negative 11? Positive 33. Positive 33. Positive 33. Very good. And number 14 says 3x equals to 21.6, and actually that's a negative. So once again, we're multiplying by 3, so the opposite of multiplying by 3, divide. So x would equal to negative, what does this give us? 7 point what? Negative 7.2. Number 14. If you notice, these are just one-steppers. You're just doing one step here. You're just advancing by one step. Yes. You're welcome. 15, you have negative x over 2 equals to 14. You could rewrite this as x over negative 2 equals to 14. Move that, multiply that across. X would equal to 28. Negative 28. Any questions there?